So success is a feeling which all humans crave. We make these daily decisions, whether they're positive or negative, we make them. What is urgent? Like, what do I need to do now? Hello, everyone. Pulling up my notes because today we are diving in to a lot of new information, and I want to make sure that I don't leave out anything that might incentivize you to start applying digital wellness into your life. I want to talk a little bit more about also like my personal journey throughout why I'm so passionate about this topic and why I've been talking about it nonstop. And most importantly, chat to you about how easy it is to start now, to build awareness and dive right into implementation and embodiment now. So as you guys start hopping on, I'm going to explain a little bit more about my journey and then dive into the content for the day, which is really straightforward, straight to the point and helping you guys just take action. And also respecting your digital use today. But to give you a little bit more of a background as to why I decided to educate on this and why I saw the importance was because I was helping people start online businesses, right? I was helping people get on Instagram, open Instagram accounts, start promoting their brand and their business and make money online and all these things. But then there was this gap. There was this it was like a feeling that I had, and I know if you guys feel the same way, but it's this feeling when you're like, this is not it. Like, this is not all of it. I can bring so much more value than just teaching you how to make money. It's so much more than making money. It's like actually caring and giving a fuck about what you're saying, right, online. So as I started getting familiarized with entrepreneurship, I saw this major gap in the industry, which is the symptoms that we get with technology, right? Over-consuming, misuse, imposter syndrome, comparison, fear, uncertainty, just like all these things that come with the digital aspect of having a business, of connecting with people. And so when I saw the impact that it has on our mental health, on my clients' mental health, on my own mental health, on the communication that I had with relationships, with in my personal life, how I talked to myself, and just overall the beliefs that I started to build, I said, wow, this has to be part of the education that I provide to my clients. This just can't be just like, okay, this is how you make money online and this is how it goes. It's more like, okay, this is how you make money online, but these are the consequences and this is how to overcome these symptoms that you feel. So again, this is a fairly new topic. Not a lot of people talk about it, which is honestly, it's super normal. It's just like us, diving into the online space and into entrepreneurship. It's kind of fairly new. So obviously the consequences and the symptoms that come after it, it's just kind of like that emerging feel. It's just at its infancy. But considering that you're part of this beautiful Facebook group, I want to give you the perks of following my journey, which is as soon as I learn something, as soon as I know something's going to impact me and my future and my business and my clients, I'm going to share it right away. And you guys have noticed that I've been sharing a lot about digital wellness and its importance in business. So let's dive right into the topic. Let's start with success, right? So success is a meaning, it's a feeling that which all humans crave, right? So success is a feeling which all humans crave. We give meaning to it, and also we work towards it. So we can agree that we start an online business to feel successful, to experience success, to experience bliss and freedom and whatever success means to you. However, this is exactly where we overcomplicate it. With our fast-paced, technology-dependent, and social media-focused world, it becomes extremely easy to associate happiness and success with money, fame, and looks, right? With being able to post the best Instagram picture or to host the best trainings or to have the best whatever it is. So that's when we start rewarding distraction and fogging our true meaning of life. Okay. And so that's my mission right now, is to make humanity a happier species by really understanding what is success to you and how you can mold your business and technology and community relationships, everything around your meaning of success, right? But it all stems from what do I want? You can't understand how to apply digital wellness if you don't know what success means to you. So if you haven't really dove into that part of like, okay, what do I actually want to do? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Yes, I want to have a cool Instagram and I want to have all these followers and I want to have all this impact. But once I get the followers and the feedback and the numbers, what do I do with it? Right? What is exactly what is it that you're searching for? Now, I'm going to give you some stats that really blew my mind. It was that the overuse and dependency on digital devices is becoming the norm. And we know that, right? So, worldwide, 420 million people are estimated to suffer from internet and social media dependency. 420 million people. So, understand that we're all part of an experiment, the experiment of technology. 10 years ago there wasn't a scroll hole, right? There wasn't a thing as a never ending feed, and now there is, and it's new and it's attractive, and they're testing things as we update softwares, as we get the latest laptop. Like there's always new things going. Just like you launch a course and you get feedback and you perfect it and you relaunch it, it's the same thing. They're getting feedback from the apps, they reframe it, they make it better, more attractive, more user friendly, and then they relaunch it. So we're constantly in this test, right, and this experiment. So it's evident that a lot of us are suffering from this. So in the United States alone, the average adult spends 4 hours per day on their smartphone, and with an annual increase of 11 minutes. So it's going up, where it's not a luxury anymore. As I said, it's a necessity. And then children and teens. So for those of you who have kids, for those of you who feel like, okay, fine, I can adopt all these digital wellness boundaries, but what about my kids that grew up with this, right? That are attached to a screen? Well, here's the thing. 8 to 18-year-olds spend at least 7 hours per day of their waking time on their phone or on screen time. And again, this is how they grew up. So this is their norm. Just like our grandparents or us used to read a newspaper or magazine in the first 2 hours of the day. That's the same thing for our kids now with their actual screens. Let's clarify a couple things. First off, apps are designed to maximize how much time and attention we invest in them. Okay, so in fact, sleep has been identified as the number one competitor, the biggest competitor that Netflix has. Okay, I'm not kidding. Like the owner of Netflix said one day that that their biggest competition was not Hulu, was not Amazon Prime, it was sleep. So you can see how these companies are really, really trying their best to make sure that you're hooked and that you're there. How do we dive into taking action and implementing, right? Which is why we're here, and this is why we have been, why I want to start educating about it. I don't want you just to hear about it and feel miserable and go like, wow, this is me, but more like, okay, how can I do this today? Not only do you have that PDF that I have in the link in my bio, which I've talked about it numerous times. If you guys need the link, let me know. But it's pretty much a go-to PDF guide where I summarize everything that I've implemented myself into a checklist so you can kind of implement it. And there's links and everything there that I put. But today I'm going to talk a lot about it. So at the end, I'll just leave it so you can kind of summarize everything beautifully. But understand that your thoughts create your reality, right? So I always talk about this. What you think becomes what you feel, which dictates your actions, and that creates your reality. So we are making daily decisions today. Just think about what you did today and how you consumed social media today and what you did in your business today, everything about today. We make these daily decisions, whether they're positive or negative, we make them, right? We make the decision. Every one of these choices contributes to the reality that we experience. So the choice regarding creating boundaries to minimize comparison, imposter syndrome, social media addiction, and achieve true work-life balance is not a luxury anymore. This is not an option, guys. Like if you want to actually have a successful business, and remain successful in the online industry, this is a necessity. You need to gain back control over these apps, okay? So the number one thing I want you to do, and you can write this down on a paper, but the number one thing I want you guys to do is to understand and pinpoint your own challenges and unconscious or subconscious behaviors that you have adopted throughout the years, okay? So what are these subconscious behaviors that you've adopted throughout the years? This is what I want you to start kind of diving into. It could be psychological needs. It could be safety needs, belonging and love needs, self-esteem needs, or self-actualization needs that you've been coping with. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, every time you feel sad, you scroll, or every time you feel like you're not getting love or connection from your significant other, you go on Instagram and look at other people receiving that love, right? Or you go on YouTube and you kind of get sucked into the solutions as to how to communicate with your spouse better or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, you're talking to a computer and not actually communicating with the actual person that incentivized the problem. Also, if you have a social media driven business, if your marketing depends on Instagram or YouTube or whatever platform, understand how exactly am I managing my time? Am I always working? Am I always working? Am I always being entertained online? Just overall, what are those challenges as unconscious and subconscious behaviors? Number two, the difference between being busy and productive. So in entrepreneurship, we all know that it's easy to get burned out and also get stuck in insignificant roadblocks like analysis paralysis and comparisonitis. So tackling the multitasking misconception will be so helpful if you tackle that now. Like, tackle it, okay? I don't know who made multitasking sexy, but it's not at all. Like, you don't want to multitask. You want to focus on one task at a time to feel successful at the end of the day. Because if not, you're going to, give little bits of you, but you're not going to give your full attention as you start diving into your business or entertainment or whatever you're doing online. So one important thing to understand when talking about productivity is the attention economy. So the attention economy just means that the technology and the softwares and all these apps being created benefit from our time and our attention, right? So the more they keep us hooked, the more money they make. That's why Instagram is free, and that's why TikTok is free, and that's why all these platforms are free, because the way that they make money is by you being hooked. So what is the best way to save ourselves from this, right? To also not be part of it, not be part of this addictiveness side of social media, but be more honest and confident about your offer. Like, if you're going to post something on Instagram, you know that the people that are going to want to hear are going to hear it. And whoever is not prepped, well, maybe in the future, whenever you post it again, they will be prepped to contact you. But if you have this way of need of always posting and always making sure that people know that you're there, you're incentivizing this sort of behavior. So you're going to cause more anxiety than actually people feeling excited to hear you out. So the solutions and best practices for this is, first off, schedule doing nothing breaks in your day. And doing nothing breaks is actually doing nothing. Like, when's the last time you did nothing? It was maybe yesterday at 3 o'clock. I scheduled a do nothing break and I just stood outside and like soaked up some sun. And it feels so good, because it's honestly, it's rare that we do nothing for more than a minute, because there's always this very easy, accessible device where you can get entertained and get that dopamine hit, right? So doing nothing breaks has helped me tremendously in getting ideas, in getting more creative and connecting more, staying grounded, present. It really, really helps. Then disabling notifications or multiple tabs in my browser. And then time blocking. I mean, if you guys haven't seen the Google Calendar training, make sure that you do, because it's very, very helpful when it comes to time management. And Charity, if you forgot about your Google Calendar in a while, or maybe you kind of need to go back to that brain dumping cycle, always feel free to refresh your mind with that, even in JBC, which you have access. doing those things is going to take time and effort in the beginning. It's going to feel weird. It's like tying a shoelace for the first time. First you're kind of like the loop and then the thing. It's not as easy as now that we just do it because it's innate, right? So, but that's the goal, and that's where we want to get. That's why it's important to do it now, especially if you're just starting your business and you don't have it created or molded to anything just yet. You're just getting started. It's a perfect opportunity to have it kind of like digital wellness proof. And then let's dive into the next one, which is forgive your negative patterns due to the nature of technology. Let's talk about the ancient brain. Let's talk about mental health real quick. And I talk about this a lot, but it's so important to kind of forgive ourselves and just give ourselves a little bit of grace in the transitional process of incorporating digital wellness resources, because again, as I said, technology is very, very new, especially the news feeds and never ending feed and scroll hole. Like that whole thing is very, very new. I would say 6 years old or less than 10 years old for sure, which tells you that obviously our brain is not used to that. Think about humanity 300 years ago, that we used to be part of a town, and we probably knew like 50 people max. And when we saw someone new, it was like, oh, what was that? It was just like, oh, you had always the same connection with the same people over and over and over and over again. And we weren't used to different opinions. We weren't used to different, even now that we can get thousands and thousands of opinions a minute, a day, right? You post something on Instagram and you're immediately looking like how many people liked it and how many. That's a new behavior because we're just not used to that. We're not used to the amount of opinions, right? So stress, FOMO, social comparison is normal, and I want you to just be kind to yourself. This is just a symptom, a byproduct of technology, which comes with starting an online business, but you do have control. And I'll tell you how. Let's see here. Would be nice to do nothing. Honestly, Gloria, you have time to do nothing. Absolutely. Even if it's 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time of doing nothing. Just think about it. Like, I can stay silent for a minute and you're going to be like, okay, Gabby, it's time. Minute, 1 minute. You have no idea the power of just taking 5 minutes of doing nothing. Start with 5 minutes. I challenge you right now to put it in your calendar. 5 minutes of doing nothing. Give yourself an alarm and literally leave everything for 5 minutes. You can even go to the bathroom and lock yourself in the bathroom for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. You have time. I promise you. Determine and understand your invisible fences. Invisible fences is a term. My cheeks get so red when I talk about this. I get so excited. Invisible fences. So invisible fences is a term they use in digital wellness, which pretty much means boundaries, right? So they give an example during the certification course that I loved, which is, those dogs that have like the shock collars and you're training them, and say when they go too far, you just kind of like buzz them and they go like, oh, okay, I'll turn around, right? And when you do that for say 2 weeks, and then you take that off and they run, they immediately stop right where you used to do the buzz, right? So that's already an invisible fence. They just stop innately, even though no one sees it. If someone new comes over and they're like, oh, that's interesting, your dog like stops right there, that's an invisible fence. That's why it's called like that, because we know about it, but you might not, right? So you can build that. Those boundaries around in your house, in your personal life, in your business, with your team, with your clients. And that is really where implementation comes into place, because the previous ones were mostly awareness and taking some time and giving yourself some grace throughout the process of understanding what is it exactly that you need to implement, because you might not need to implement the same things I had to implement, right? So diving into, so what have we talked about, by the way? Let me just go back. So the first thing was understanding and pinpointing your own subconscious behaviors and stressors, right? So what stresses you out? What do you usually do? When do you grab your phone? When do you have those triggers to scroll, to grab your phone, to fub? What are your subconscious stressors? And then busy versus productive. Where does your time go? Where does your time go? Audit your time. Look at that feature in the iPhone, or even Google has that feature of time spent on the screen. Then the next one is forgiving those patterns due to the nature of our technology. And the fourth one that I talked about was determining and understanding our invisible fences. What is actually the boundary that we want to set for our kids, for our business, for ourselves? Communication is the only way that you're going to be able to set boundaries, because it's not just you here. You have to talk to the people that you work with. You have to talk to the people that you're providing a service, so your clients. You have to talk to your spouse or your significant other. You have to talk to friends and family. I mean, it's just something you have to talk about. So communication is number one, and that's within your home or workplace, right? So couple questions to ask yourself is, am I acknowledging digital well-being in my house or in my work? Am I doing something about it, right? Do I just send people emails at 9 p.m.? Do I, do I fub? Fubbing, guys. Fubbing is a term that I'm going to talk about endlessly. If you followed my digital wellness series, you know what it is. But fubbing is literally frequency versus quality. So if I am talking to you and I am just looking at my phone like this and I'm like, no, yes, yeah, totally. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm acknowledging you, but I'm looking at my phone. That is fubbing. And so fubbing is an incredible, incredible opportunity for you to actually audit the communication and connection in your household. So what I did was I counted how many times I fubbed my boyfriend and my boyfriend fubbed me, because I live with my boyfriend, and he fubbed me 25 times and I fubbed him 7 times. And I knew that I was doing this test. Okay, let me just reiterate that. I knew that I was telling him, right? That I was testing him, sort of thing, or testing myself too. I would do it and immediately go, ooh, I just did it, but I have to count that as one, right? So it was 7 times, and it was a period of like 10 hours, which is not a lot at all. But then you catch yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not paying attention to what people tell me, or I'm actually not really communicating effectively, And same thing can be vice versa. Like if that bothers you, you got to talk about it. And same thing happens with your team. So I remember when I got my new assistant, I hired her, and the first thing I was brand new into the digital wellness space, and the first thing I said, it was like, where is it okay for me to contact you? Where do I contact you when it's urgent? What are your hours? When is it not okay to email you? Like I was already giving her, just like, what do you need? For you to be able to do work for me, and for you to be happy and feel fulfilled and feel like you're giving your best. And that for her and for me was like the key to be able to have a good relationship within our workspace. So start thinking about that. Do you really ever talk about digital well-being? Does the tech that you use in your business empower people, or are you contributing to the cause of all these symptoms? Also understanding what is urgent. That, I think that was a huge thing for me to know: when to clock out, when to clock in, what to answer when. Like those boundaries all came with me knowing what is urgent. Like, what do I need to do now? And majority of things can wait. They can actually wait. If you respond, and this happens to me with my clients a lot, because my clients get, one-on-one voice notes and messages, and they message me and I see it when I'm working out, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to answer now. But if I answer now, I'm going to give them 50% of my actual effort, right? I'm not going to give them my, like, okay, I am clocked in, I'm ready, have my resources up, this is what you need to do. It's a whole different vibe. Now, what is it that you can control? Just aside from communicating, which we just talked about, aside from communicating, you also can control your physical environment. Your physical environment. That's not only your desk, but it's your body. Okay, your body. So let's talk about outer environment. So feng shui and ergonomics are your go-to. And when I say feng shui, it's digital feng shui. So inside of your computer, how are things organized? Do you have an external drive where you put things in? Do you organize your pictures? Do you have 24,000 photos on your phone? You know, like all those, the feng shui is not only just how you have your desk set up, but also how you have your digital devices set up. So that digital environment as well. And then your inner environment, which has everything to do with the mental health that we were talking about. Do the tabs make you feel cluttered? You know, doing multiple things at the same time, working out, answering voice notes, doing all the things, does it make you exhausted and just overall anxious? And so ergonomics as well, like I have a stand-up desk, which helps me tremendously at keeping my back straight and having it aligned with my neck and my eyes. And it's, you know, it's definitely a term that I really, really would love for you guys to get into. But evidently there's a lot of information, and I don't want to continue just bombarding you with, you know, quick tips and tricks. I want you to start implementing. I want you to start doing. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.